helping me get this breaking story out. I will be covering a breaking news story as well as some other stories that are falling into place. So, of course, my name is Deborah Tavares. I run the website stopthecrime.net and also primarywater.org. I will be posting this show tonight on my video Odyssey channel on stopthecrime.net. Be sure to also catch it there, because I'm going to plow into this breaking story right now. It's most important to understand the USA interstate travel checkpoints are now being initiated and already have been. So what is occurring is COVID testing is now being required, which will take in the possibility that, dependent upon your testing, you will either be quarantined or into isolation. And this, of course, will be apprehension and detention as well. Again, all U.S. border crossings are COVID travel guidelines that are restricting your travel. So I'm going to read the words to you exactly out of the documents where I received this information, so that you understand and you can see those documents for yourself. And I will go over this now. First, I will tell you some of the websites that I looked at when I heard a little rumbling on a border town on Oregon and California. I heard some rumbling about some checkpoints being set up on the border of Oregon and California. So I researched it, and this is what I found. This is on the website, and it's called Traveling to or from California. And we must now follow these new travel guidelines. They say if you're traveling to or from California, help prevent the spread of COVID-19 by following these travel guidelines. And they refer to the travel advisories and the CDC travel guidances, which I'm going to go over with you, as well as continuing with this guideline. It says everyone traveling to California should test within 3 to 5 days after arrival. After travelers arriving or returning to California from any other states or countries must test 3 to 5 days after arrival. This applies to anyone, regardless of vaccination status. They say follow the CDC travel guidelines. All travelers, again, returning to or from California and from other states or countries should follow the CDC travel guidance. They say positive test results, isolate and take precautions. We're going to go over that in detail. It says delay travel until you are fully vaccinated. And if you are not vaccinated but choose to travel, test before and after. It says if you do not vaccinate, you choose to travel domestically, test 1 to 3 days before and 2 to 5 days after. Now, I know that we've heard this. I know that we're being told to always wear a mask, and I need to talk about what has been discovered with this entire COVID symptom list to begin with, because, of course, we all realize that the mask depletes our oxygen supply. Many other things that it does as well, causes massive tooth decay, etc. But it does deplete your intake of oxygen. So as I continued looking through the California Department of Public Health on this travel warning about interstate travel and the checkpoints, which are the checkpoints of COVID testing. Now, certainly they are not going to rely on people testing, because when you start looking at the front page of the newspapers, as I have today, you're seeing why this is going to end up being a forced checkpoint between all the states throughout the entire country. And we've been seeing these types of lockdowns occurring already. Australia, Austria, many other areas, certainly the Philippines has checkpoints and travel permit requirements from city to city. Many places throughout the world now have implemented this. I don't think anyone ever suspected that this would happen in the United States, but when you start looking at the headlines that are feeding this, you start to understand that they're saying that 2021 is on track to surpass 2020 as the nation's deadliest outbreak. They go on to say, will the U.S. be open in January? And they say 62 countries likely at an over 100% hospital capacity. Now, we know this is a much fear porn. We know that people will then concede to the reduction of travel from state to state here in the United States. They say that Washington, D.C. is the first major city to impose vaccine mandates on students. Go on, hospitals pushed to financial ruin as nurses quit in masses. They go on to say that the WHO need 3 to 4 weeks to answer the Omicron severity question. These reports go on, and I'm sure all of you are hearing this on your news for propaganda and fear porn constantly is the drumbeat. So now it would not surprise you to understand what is happening with the transportation, the public transportation. This is going to happen to all of you. It says on the California Department of Public Health, I found this, and this is dated December 13th of 2021, to all Californians, subject travel advisory. Now, I will tell you, I don't know of anybody that saw this travel advisory that was intended to go to all Californians. And I will tell you this, that they talked about the travel guidelines. There was a PDF and the CDC travel requirements. They go on to tell us that because of the COVID-19 vaccinations and vaccines remain effective in preventing serious disease, hospitalization, and death from SARS-CoV virus. However, since Thanksgiving, they were talking about Thanksgiving of 2021, just recently, the statewide 7-day average case rate has increased by 47%, and hospitalizations have increased as well. They say on December 1st of 2021, the first confirmed U.S. case of Omicron, a variant of concern, as labeled by the World Health Organization, was identified. And they go on. They tell us that the higher levels of vaccinations in California and beyond. So when you hear me talking about this, and I'm saying California, they are saying in their information and beyond. All of you listening, you're in the beyond. So don't just think that I'm only talking about California because I'm reading the specific information out of California. You're in the beyond. This all applies to you. It goes on to say all travelers arriving in or out or returning from other states or countries should follow the CDC travel guidelines, and all travelers arriving or returning to California from other states or countries should test 3 to 5 days. And they go on, all travelers who test positive or develop symptoms of COVID-19 should isolate and follow public health guidelines. Now, let's go over what quarantine and isolation is, and I printed this off of the CDC website. But before I do that, it's most important for me to remind each and every single one of you that the CDC is not a public health advocacy organization. The CDC is a private, for-profit corporation doing business, and they are doing business on us. The CDC, as I said, is not a government health advocacy organization. It is a corporation. And in fact, the CDC is listed on Dun & Bradstreet and headquartered in the state of Georgia with ties to the pharmaceutical industry. It is an extension of the pharmaceutical industry. And its recommendations are influenced by the fiscal health of the pharmaceutical corporations. The CDC is a corporation. And also, all of your state public health institutions are also private for-profit corporations, and they're doing business on all of you and me as well in every single state, in every single city, in every single county throughout the United States and beyond. So important to understand that the medical clinical records are shared by state public health departments, which are also for-profit corporations listed on Dun & Bradstreet. And they receive monetary compensation from the CDC to perform their functions. So therefore, your state public health departments and recommendations and actions, again, are based and influenced on the fiscal health of their corporation. And this would also include the American Academy of Pediatrics and all of your physicians who receive money on fully vaccinated patients. So I could go on and on the level of incorporation, but I think that pretty much spells it out. But let's talk about quarantine versus isolation. And you're going to need to print this off for yourselves because most of you will be forced into this, and I do mean forced into this. You think not. You think you have rights. You think you have a constitution, and sadly, as I've pointed out many times in the past, we are the enemy through the Trading with the Enemy Act, and you all are enemies, unless, of course, you're one of the listeners that belong to the deep state and the controllers. However, the COVID-19 quarantine versus isolation, here's the definition and the difference. If you are under quarantine, it means that you keep someone who was in close contact with someone who has COVID-19 away from others. If you are fully vaccinated and you're in quarantine, you do not need to quarantine unless they have symptoms. So if you are fully vaccinated and you're exposed to someone who has symptoms, you then must quarantine. And they talk about how you must be tested every 3 to 5 days after exposure, even if you don't have symptoms. But I want to talk about this. This is extremely important. If you are not fully vaccinated, it says stay home. This is under the quarantine. Stay home for 14 days after your last contact with a person who has had COVID-19. Watch for a fever. Remember this fever. It's 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So you watch for a fever of 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, a cough, shortness of breath, or other symptoms of COVID-19. Now, I must tell you that a fever of 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit is generally what will occur when people are heated up with electromagnetic frequencies. So if you are in a high, dense, wireless area, if you are in a city, or if you are wireless in your homes, or if you are walking around with your cell phone, thing can be amped up, and it is. And your temperature, your body temperature goes up. And they're calling this now the reason to look at that temperature. And again, you must understand this is largely a result of the increased frequencies, which we're going to discuss further as well. But in the meantime, they're going to scare all of us. They will lock down our states. The lockdowns will impose further inability to travel, and that will also include not being able to drive out of your county within your state. This is all being set up now. They are already rolled out with all of the smart LED interstate lights where they can track, monitor, and certainly eliminate people that believe that they can travel because you can't. So I want to go into this because I think this is extremely important. This is a executive order, 13295, dated April 4th of 2003, was signed by George W. Bush, and it talks about the list of quarantinable communicable diseases. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to create the platform of understanding that this was set up well in advance for a totalitarian system and the genocide programs that we're now seeing worldwide, where many nations are actually being culled and people are being murdered on many levels for many different reasons. But as I look at this Executive Order 13295, again dated April 4th of 2003, signed by George W. Bush, it says, based upon the recommendations of the Secretary of Health and Human Services, in consultation with the Surgeon General, and for the purpose of specifying certain communicable diseases for regulations providing for apprehension and detention of individuals to prevent the introduction and transmission of spread of suspected communicable diseases. And they go down to say some of the lists of these communicable diseases, I will tell you, are lab-created bioweapons. And I found all of that in other documents as well as the NASA War document that I have quoted over the years many times. But here are some of the communicable diseases that they're going to be able to apprehend and detain us and literally put us into FEMA camps. because as you hear what I'm saying about the isolation, I think you will understand what was told to us months ago on the CDC website about shielding, and I covered that in other radio shows, but basically you will be forced into encampments, whether you're vaccinated or not. There will be different camps for each designation, and that goes into great detail, and I covered that extensively previously. I'm just going to go over a number of things right now because of the time, but I wanted to say that here are some of the list of communicable diseases where they can detain and apprehend you. Cholera, diphtheria, infectious tuberculosis, the plague, smallpox, yellow fever, and viral hemorrhagic fevers such as Lassa, Marburg, Ebola, and South American Congo diseases, as well as others not yet isolated or named. Now, what they mean by not yet isolated or named, they talk about not yet created in the lab and named and be set up on all of us, the human family worldwide. That's what that means. They also go on to say the severe acute respiratory syndrome, which is SARS, which is a disease associated with fever. Now, again, fever is also and can be a result of extremely intensified electromagnetic frequencies. Remember that. So one of the things that you can do right now is to reduce the level of wireless frequencies in your midst. But it says, again, SARS, which is a disease associated with fever and signs and symptoms of pneumonia and other respiratory illnesses, is transmitted from person to person, predominantly by the aerosolized or droplet route, and if spread in the population would have severe public health consequences. Now, I want to tell you that this is also being spread upon us through the aerosolized deadly overhead death dumps that we refer to as chemtrails. This is all part of an annihilation program of the world's population, and certainly we know that that is well underway. The executive order continues by saying that the Secretary, at the Secretary's discretion, shall determine whether a particular condition constitutes a communicable disease of the type specified that I read to all of you. The Secretary, has the discretion. Then it goes on to say what the functions of the President. Now remember, the President of the United States is the CEO of USA Inc. No one will really talk much about this, but this is a fact. You need to understand the reality of the country that we live in. It is indeed a corporation listed on the New York Stock Exchange and doing business. You can look that up for yourselves. You need to. If you're voting, then you need to understand you're in a corporate structure, and the oath of offices are based on the corporate oath of office, not for the Constitution, as many people sadly believe. But it goes on to say the functions of the President under Section 362 of the Public Health Service Act are assigned to the Secretary. So in other words, the CEO of USA Inc. assigns all of the discretion of what is considered a communicable disease over to the Secretary. Then it goes on to basically conclude that there is no liability through the United States for any of this, and we know that. We know that all of the drug companies are void of liability. Without saying, I hope all of you know that by now. So now let's go into the definition of isolation. This is very, very important, and this leads into the concentration camps and the FEMA camps that we will be dragged into, because these are the requirements of isolation. Again, this is based on the CDC website, cdc.gov/coronavirus. It says isolation keeps someone who is sick or tested positive for COVID-19 without symptoms away from others, even in their own home. People who are in isolation should stay home and stay in a specific sick room or area and use of a separate bathroom. So let's talk about what was on the CDC website about shielding. They're going to create sick houses in your community. Many people may have 4 to 5 or 6 people living in a 2-bedroom bath house. because of the economy and the inability for people to earn the money or to even have the jobs to pay their rent. So people are doubling up. So there's not going to be the opportunity for most people to create a separate bedroom and a separate bathroom and keep that separated from the rest of the family. So what will happen is they will identify a specific house in a community, maybe next door to where you currently live, and move all of those that are to be in isolation into that house. That will be prior then to, of course, moving people into designated camps, which I have reported on. I've gone with my husband. We've actually filmed the process of this, and I will cover that more intently on my next show with Pastor Butch, but I really have so much to get out right now about the lockdowns of state-to-state transportation. And again, I'm talking about the breaking news of the USA interstate travel checkpoints that have been deployed in California and elsewhere as well, and COVID testing is required, and I'm discussing quarantine versus isolation. I'm talking about apprehension and detention, and this, again, is USA border crossing COVID travel guidelines, and this is advised to all of us on their documents, of which I'm going over with all of you right now. So now let's look at another document. Many of you may know about this particular bill out of New York. It's bill number A416. Look it up. Look it up. I'm going to go over it with you right now. This bill provides for indefinite detention of unvaccinated people. So let's go over this. The New York legislation provided indefinite detention for unvaccinated at the governor's whim. In the next legislative session beginning January 5th of 2022, and this is why we're going to have border closings, okay? The New York Senate and Assembly will vote on a bill that would grant permission to remove and detain cases, contacts, carriers, or anyone suspected of presenting a significant threat to public health and remove them from public life on an indefinite basis. Okay? So they're going to capture those because you're not going to be allowed to travel. And I'm going to talk about some of the sensors that have already been put in place on the interstates throughout the United States and on many of the off-ramps. You need to know what has already been deployed so that you can understand how the combination of preparing for this deployment and capturing us and not allowing travel has been put in place. The bill gives the governor of New York and his delegates, including but not limited to the commissioner and the heads of all local health departments. Now, remember, your local health departments are corporations, so think of that always. They're being given the right to remove and detain any individuals or groups of people through issuing a single order. The orders have only to include the individual's name or reasonably specific description of the individual's group, and the department can decide to hold a person or a group in a medical facility or any other they deem appropriate, and the language is purposefully vague. Now, I will continue with some of the points of the bill that also state that no one shall be held for more than 60 days. However, the language does allow for court orders to waive the maximum detention time. And after 60 days, the courts allowed an additional 90 days to consider the detention of an individual. And this can cycle to the courts indefinitely. And I will come
to the break
and discuss this further.
Folks, back to our guest, Deborah Tavares. Deborah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I am talking about the breaking news about the USA interstate travel checkpoints, the COVID testing requirements, the quarantine and the isolation requirements, apprehension and detention, and happening throughout the United States. And I was just going over a bill out of New York, bill number A416. And I was talking about how this bill is allowing the indefinite detention of unvaccinated people. But it's most important to understand it does not matter if you're vaccinated or not. You will be put in designated FEMA camps. because, of course, many people are very much aware that the overall arching goal is to literally eliminate everyone, whether you are vaxxed or not. And I will just read a very quick comment that I received from a dear friend of mine, has a big radio show herself, and sent me this the other day, all in caps in an email. She said, "Do you not understand they are recruiting for an android cyborg army? Want to join? Get the jab." And this was sent to me by Terry Cassidy from Project Camelot. So again, they are recruiting for a cyborg army. When you look at the NASA War document and you read about the replacement of humans by robotics, this is what has been in the works for a very, very long time. So now let's get back to this bill in New York. It says that the language in the bill refers to individuals or groups who potentially pose a threat. And the bill is a preemptive strike against anyone that the department believes has the capacity to pose a threat in the future, such as those refusing to receive the COVID-19 vaccinations. Now, they know who all of you are. You're being tracked and monitored. They know who all of you are. There is no explicit reference, they're saying, to what types of contagious diseases qualify a person to be removed from the public life and detained in a facility and forced into medical treatment and vaccination, but anyone can technically be held in isolation until they are deemed non-contagious. Well, we are not going to ever be contained and identified as being non-contagious because they're going to continue to impose requirements on us because we are human vector. That's what we are, and we're useless eaters. So they want to certainly incarcerate us all indefinitely. Now let's talk about I talked about the frequencies in the jab and the running of the temperatures at 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, the coughing and so forth that is being experienced with the COVID symptoms. And again, reduce your wireless immediately. Get out of a wireless area. But let's talk about what has already been set up to track and monitor your whereabouts and to confine you and to identify you when you're out on the roadways, when you're being told you're not going to be allowed on the roadways. And we're seeing that in many countries right now. And again, it's horrific to think that this could ever happen in America. But we are a corporation. It has happened. It is unfolding now. So let's talk about how the public roads have been transformed in the future of roadway lighting. We're talking about the lights that line the interstate and the off-ramps and the lights that are in your cities. I went to many meetings about the street light conversion to LED lighting because, of course, LED lighting damages our retina in our eyes. It reduces the melatonin so that you don't sleep well. It causes many, many health problems from the lighting itself. And I have done many YouTubes on the LED street light eye damage and the overall damage that that lighting does. This is being required by the Department of Energy from the United States, again, a corporation of death. Because why would they implement lights that would cause your eyesight to diminish and for you to lose your melatonin so you can't sleep at night and cause so many other ailments? In fact, one of the solutions with the night lighting is to get the blue light prescription glass in your eyeglasses. I've talked about that many times. That helps with the LED lighting now also in the headlights of cars as well. But I was looking at some articles about how many people across the United States, and particularly in upstate New York, were complaining about how the overhead streetlights were turning purple. And this is what I found. This is dated March 16th of 2021, so it's not that old. There was a Channel 7 News broadcast that reached out to Duke Energy, which is, of course, Rothschild, remembering that all of our utility companies in the United States are run by Rothschild LLC, and Duke Energy is as well. And here's what Duke Energy said about the change in the color of those streetlights, and it's due to a manufacturing defect with their LED lights. So according to the statement from Duke Energy, again, Rothschild, they said they've been upgrading many of their older and less efficient lights with LED lighting over the past few years, and several hundreds of these white streetlights across upstate New York are now malfunctioning, causing the lights to gradually turn deep purple. Other utility companies across the nation are using these exact same type of LED lights, and they are experiencing the same problems. They believe this is the result of one bad batch of lights being distributed across the country. This is not a bad batch of lights, okay? Understand. We're going to talk about what these lights do. They say they're working with the vendor to better understand the issue, and they are taking steps to ensure that this doesn't happen again. It's just because people have noticed and they were caught. So Duke Energy is urging residents, and so would your utility, to help them identify and fix the lights by reporting them to their online using their street light repair tool. So, and that they would send out crews to immediately repair the malfunctioning lights in just a few hours. That's not true. These lights are being intentionally deployed throughout the entire country and worldwide. In fact, when I was in Europe and I was speaking at the AV10 conference in 2019, these lights were being discussed by Mark Steele, and he actually took the lights apart and showed that it was a weapon system. They can actually phase array and target individuals. So now let's go into what the smart streets are doing and how it's causing controversy. It's really important to hear what I'm going to be telling you now, because we are being closed down as a country via technology and sensors in our roads and our cars, in the vaccines, in the aerosols, in everything. Everything will be tagged and everything will be identified, as we have been told long ago in the Sustainable Development Requirements that there would be complete trackability from the creation or manufacturing to end-of-life use of what was manufactured or death. And when I mean tracking of everything, I'm talking about the starfish in the ocean as well. So let's continue now with the capabilities of this lighting system and how you will not be able to escape your state or soon your very county. And it could most likely encapsulate you within your city and then within your homes. Make no mistake. This is why we are seeing so many people moving out of the San Francisco Bay Area to the country areas where there is more property. So as the lockdowns come and go, they think they'll go. We'll go back to a new normal. That's not possible. At least some people might have a little bit more land to roam around on when they're confined in their homes. Sadly, those living in apartment buildings with stacked-up people are not going to fare well. They're not. There's a tremendous amount of emotional instability and suicides as a result of all of this. But now let's get back into the smart streetlights and how it's been sparking controversy for a long time. And this is an article I found dated August 8th of 2020, and it pertains to San Diego County in Southern California. And they said they started installing their smart streetlights in 2017. So this goes to show how far in advance and even further than that, they've been aiming to set up sensors to track and monitor our whereabouts, charge, fine, and penalize us if we breach the requirements allowed us in leaving our areas. So they said that the city managers, and I will add this, all your city managers, all of your cities, your city councils, your boards of supervisors, they all work for the corporation. Now, whether they're fully aware of the dismantlement that they're doing and the amount of injury and harm and death they're causing their constituents is yet to be determined. I know many do. I think of them as Illuminati by night and city managers, judges, clerks, etc. by day. But I can tell you that the city managers in San Diego County envisioned that the data that these smart lights would be gathering would improve the city operations. And this is what they were told. And I heard this in my own city also about 3 years ago, the same sales pitch. They said, like, they were told selecting streets for bicycle lanes, identifying dangerous intersections for special attention, and figuring out where the city needed more parking. They thought they might spark some tech startups to develop apps that would guide the virtually impaired and point drivers to parking places. In fact, that was what I heard, that you could get on an app and find where there was an available parking place, since most of our cities now are discouraging your driving your car into town. So they said that they would send joggers down the quietest routes, and they also envisioned the cost savings from reduced energy thanks to the vastly higher efficiency of the LED lights in comparison with the sodium vapor lights they were replacing. So we told our city about the dangers of LED lights and how that was damaging our eyes, and yet the Department of Energy here in USA Inc. was and has been behind these lights from the very beginning. So San Diego found out that instead of a $30 million project that they had looked at that would put San Diego on the map as one of the smartest cities in the United States, and they found that it was they were having battles over the way these systems were being used by law enforcement, because they found out that the independent apps that had seemed so promising as the sales of these smart lights were being sold to them, that the idea that the technology would pay for itself as energy costs came down didn't work out as they had hoped. They said that San Diego got its smart city IQ. This is city IQ in quotes. Streetlights from GE Current. That's GE Current. That's where they got their streetlights. Look them up. A company originally started as a subsidiary of General Electric, but they acquired last year by private equity firm America Industrial Partners. They said in San Diego that they had purchased 3,300 of these smart lights that have been installed, and they have not deployed 1,000 at this point. But let's get in to what these lights do. This is unbelievable, and all of you that don't know this will know this now. The street lights are packed with technology. Inside is an Intel Atom processor, half a terabyte of storage, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi radios. They have video cameras, 2 acoustical sensors, environmental sensors that monitor temperature, pressure, humidity, vibration, magnetic fields, and much of the data is processed on the node, a textbook example of edge processing. That typically includes the processing of data video, machine vision algorithms running on the street light itself. And they count cars, and they count bicycles, and they count people. And the exact average speed of the vehicles are also part of what become part of the information that is stored in an individual light, one of these smart street lights. And they talk about how initially GE Current and the data manager of the analytics and algorithms were derived from processed data, and they said that the data was expected to be used exclusively for civic analysis and planning and public convenience. But they found out that it was being collected by law enforcement and being used in ways in which it was never envisioned originally. There was an enormous apology issued by the city manager that they didn't realize that the camera was going to end up being used for identifying potential crime scene victims, etc. Many of you may think, oh, well, that's good. And many people think, well, why should I care? I'm not doing anything wrong. I will tell you, there is now an amped-up targeting of individual program in the United States and worldwide, where they are falsely identifying and accusing people of crimes they never committed. Once they falsely doctor up and or create the illusion that someone did something that they didn't do, like many people that have been imprisoned for decades. This is what is happening, and people will be falsely identified. This country is now working on a global, in fact, the world is working on a global gang stalking and manipulative program of bullying. And that I see in all of the meetings. They get people to be quiet, so people are afraid to stand up because people get easily embarrassed. It is time to no longer be embarrassed. Your lives are on the line, and you are being destroyed by technology that is killing us. So it goes on to talk about that the city administrative, again, said that they made a mistake. They would have done a better job of communicating with the public had they had a better chance to understand what the data was collecting. So this is all set up. You will be tracked, monitored, identified falsely or otherwise, imprisoned and held indefinitely, and you will be deposed ultimately to your homes only after the borders shut down. So I can only say, people ask all the time, well, Deborah, when is this going to happen? I think all of you can see that it's happening now. And when the borders close and the checkpoints and the guards are actually there, then all bets, all games are over. And this is building into this when you look at the newspaper articles that I'm talking about. Now, I want to go on to something else quickly. No, I don't have a quick amount of time here, but I want to talk about the use of frequencies and how there's manipulation and how that's going to continue, because I would ask all of you to sign up to on stopthecrime.net to receive our email blasts so that you'll hear about what happened. I don't know if many of you heard about the enraged monkeys that have killed over 250 dogs by throwing the dogs from heights in a small Indian village in India. And what has happened is the officials didn't deal with the problem. The monkeys have thrown, as I said, 250 dogs off high areas to kill them. The people in the village believe that the monkeys have a vendetta because a dog killed a baby monkey. But let's talk about what is also now happening. The monkeys are going after children. And I sent out an email blast asking, what do you think? Is it due to the shedding of the vaccines, which are increasing rage in everyone? We're seeing lots of jab accidents and increased rage. Is it because of the chemtrails? Is it because of the amped-up frequencies? Or is it because of the prion and the mad cow disease that is all part of the vaccine and overhead aerosol spraying program? So I received a number of responses to my request because I thought that this article and what was happening in this village was unbelievable, and maybe you think so too. And you can actually type this in and find this article with photographs. It's called Enraged Monkeys Kill 250 Dogs by Throwing Them from Heights in India. And you will find this story that I am talking about right now. And when I found the enraged aspect of the monkeys, I certainly realized it was predominantly from frequencies. So let's talk about what it is. Many of you recall all the birds that dropped out of the sky a few years ago. We're talking blackbirds by the thousands dropped all over the United States, and we're being hit with directed energy weapons everywhere. But it's no longer a test, because what they're doing is they're illustrating the power of multi-modular mind control, chemtrails, high-powered EMF, remote inductive pulsed beam psychotronics that flash the embedded nanometal particles, because we all have metal particles in us now because of the chemtrails, the food, and the water, that has passed the blood-brain barrier to reside in all of our brains. And the amygdala is excited in mass, and this produces absolute violence, which is what we're seeing in these monkeys that were at first throwing dogs from high places and now trying to carry young children off and throw them off of high places as well. They go on to talk about and discuss about how the additional brain frequencies are induced in mass, which create savage herd behaviors, and it's instinctively activated from the primal part of the brain to eliminate a mass perceived threat. So what we're seeing now is the massive amounts of frequencies causing increased rage. So this is what your guns will be used for as these frequencies continue to increase, and those being targeted and flashed with rage will literally start literally going through your neighborhoods. The whole Mad Max scenario is now upon us. I'm seeing increased homelessness throughout our county. I know all of you are as well. So I shared the breaking news that the border closures, the sensors that are deployed throughout this country by a corporation that controls our future and our reality and has massively deceived us. And I say all of this because you all have to consider your workarounds. How are you going to survive when you're forced to stay in your home? Particularly now that they are now deploying 5G wireless smart water meters to curtail and allocate the amount of water you can use. So your homework assignment until I join you again with Pastor Butch will be to go to primarywater.org. Understand, water is renewable. It is continuously created down below the mantle of the earth by hydrogen and oxygen. It's forced upwards. And for those of you that can encourage people that are on areas where there are wells to get to the water, what must happen is people must hire and pay for a dowser or a water witcher. Now, I know many people think that's woo-woo. No, it's what you need to do. They find water. Then you need to get your well driller to drill where the witcher or the dowser or the equipment that someone might bring on to locate water. You need to tell your well driller this is where you drill. Sadly, the well drillers don't know about primary water. There's a real ego problem where they believe that they can get to water. Those wells are pumping dry by and large because they don't understand the geological structures that they have to drill in. Their drill bits become dull because they do have to drill into rock structures to get to the primary water. What's important is once you access primary water on your property, you are not pumping out from your neighbors. You are not depleting your neighbor's water supply. And that is what is now being told to all of us. Here in my county, they say there are too many straws in the aquifer, and people are not being equitable with the neighbors. The water needs to be shared for the future generations. This is what we're being told. And I've just now discovered the new groundwater ordinances and regulations and the continued reduction in allowed use of water. This is going to happen to each and every single one of you, trying to get ahead of the information, warn you, so that you can prepare to have the power that you need when the grid goes down, and it's being flashed on us all the time, particularly when you look at the directed energy weapon attacks in all the cities that are being flattened by fire, by hurricanes, tornadoes, flooded out. All of this is directed, and we have to be able to survive as best we can. Look at your workarounds. See how you can survive. You don't want to be in low-lying areas. You don't want to be near a wastewater treatment plant.
About 1 minute, Deborah. About 1 minute left.
So I want to finish one thing. When I come back on with Pastor Butch, I'm going to talk about something I just discovered about the ocean. So I'm looking forward to coming back on to discuss this because I grew up in Malibu. I lived on a boat in Europe. I'm very passionate about the sea, and I am also now extremely sad with what I've discovered in some documents that I've just found. So everyone, please enjoy your visits with your family this year. Love the ones you love the most even more. Make amends now, and do a lot of praying, because we are in trouble and we're sliding down a slippery slope now very, very quickly. And we're going to have to help one another. And I think the sooner that many of us can understand what we face, the better we'll be able to mentally survive, because it will be our mental survival that will really matter at this point. Pastor Butch, thank you for having me on the show. Please go to stopthecrime.net, to our Odyssey vid channel, and primarywater.org.
All right. Thank you, Deborah. Folks, we'll see you in the office tomorrow between 9 and 2. Have a great night.